I can't mess about talking too much, I need to get it on there. This has had 2 coats, and as you can see, it's just going off again. It stopped drawing it in, so got the matting ready. So I'm going to put it on. It doesn't need to be pretty or tidy at this stage because there's going to be more sanding, more grinding. But press it on, get it as flat as I can. And then basically we get the resin on it. We've got these bits for here. And this bit for up here. As you can see, it's overlapping at the top. We can grind that off after. If you notice on one side of this side is like sealed, this side is open fibered. I don't think it makes a difference which way you put it. I've never been told there's a certain way. I generally do it so the glue side, if you want to call it that, is facing up. When you do it that way, all these strands pop out instantly. Obviously, because this is all tacky, it holds this easily, keeps it in place, just like that. Now, give it a good soak out with a brush and give it a roll with a consolidating roller. We'll do start at the top and then it'll run down like this. I was using white resin, if you remember. I've changed to using clear. I find it easier to get rid of the bubbles, and you can see the air behind it then. This will go translucent once it's fully wetted through, so you can see where you've missed. If it was a bigger area, I would be rolling it on, but this is fine with a brush, just stippling it like this. If you try and drag the brush, you'll lift all the fibres. I'll try and show you. At the moment it's alright, but once it starts breaking up, there's like a glue in the matting. The resin dissolves it. Once that dissolves, you'll have problems with the matting falling apart if you try and brush it. Let's just get this banged on. I'm not worried if it's messy at this stage. I will be doing some more tidying up after this on it all. That's all the roller is, and basically it spreads the resin out and gets any bubbles out. And also go slow with it because it flicks everywhere. You get covered. When I'm doing this, I'm not pressing that way, I'm pulling that way. So I'm pulling there like that and then just rolling back gently, pulling, just to the centre, pulling, pulling. So there's no pressure when I'm going forward. And then the same here now when you go up, pressure, no pressure, pressure, no pressure. The reason why I'm leaving it on the matting and not pulling it off is because this builds up with resin inside the fins, and then when you go again you cover yourself in it. So push up, gently down, and then you can push down as well. But what you'll find is you'll start moving the matting, which is not what you want. I'll show you here. If I push, so the matting, it's coming up, look. See? You end up pulling it off what you're doing. You see it there moving, look, doing that constantly. So, but this looks perfect. There's no air in there at all. What I need to do now, get some more offcuts and matting. That's what I'm using, is offcuts. Basically, just filling it all in. I don't want to be using the big roll, wasting it, because I've got a load of offcuts. Not sure if you can see it on the camera there, but yeah, I'm using offcuts on it. It doesn't matter as long as it's all covered. And to be fair, I don't really have to do this step. I don't have to put matting here because this is all totally fine to go straight on top of. I have to put matting on the wood, which I've done, It's got one layer on it. One layer is more than enough, but I am going to go over the whole lot with another layer just to block it in, basically. A bit of strength and just a sort of a filler, if you want to call it that. Is that resin gone? Yeah, that resin's starting to gel. If you can see it there, look. So it's gone already. It's no good. That's how fast it goes off, look. That's started to gel. Then it becomes a nightmare to work with. When you're using resin, you're better off getting it in a flat tray. This, when it's built up thick in there, builds up heat faster and it goes off. I'm not sure if you know how resin works. You have your resin, you put your catalyst in, it causes a chemical reaction, and what happens then, it generates heat in the resin. So if you've got it this deep, that heat in there builds up quicker and it'll go off faster. If you can get it out in a flat tray or spread it on here quicker, it don't go off so fast. So that's what you need to do, work fast, get it on there. On here, it's still soaking wet. In there, it's going off very quickly, as you can see, look. Just in that last 30 seconds of talking, it's gone off more. So that's it. What I'm going to do now, let this go off for 15-20 minutes, let it be like sort of touch dry, and then while it's going off, I'm going to sort out more matting to cover all of this area, and mix up another batch. That batch, just for that there, I've just mixed up 400 grams, so it does suck up the resin, to be honest. It takes quite a bit. So you're doing a project like this, you're going to need a lot of resin. I've literally just had a delivery come. Yeah, in that delivery there's 25 kilos of resin, and ancillaries. I've got like a catalyst bottle and stuff. Anyway, stop waffling. Go and get some matting ready for this, and we'll crack on again. But yeah, this is basically how you fiberglass. This has got no air voids in it whatsoever. On the camera it looks like there's a few white areas. That is just where there was a bit of filler on the wood. If you look, there's no bubbles there at all. It's flat, it's perfect. You can see when I'm doing that, there's no bubbles in this. So that's what you want. Right, get the next bit done and we'll carry on. Well, as you can see, this is done now. That's gone off, it's nice and hard. I will do a quick walk around to show you. The camera was there when I was glassing this and the battery went dead, but I couldn't stop. It was going off. So I just got it finished, tied it up, and by then the light had gone. What I'm about to do now is bond in the next part of the transom. I'm going to explain what I've done and why. I have to move the camera a little bit. Hopefully on the floor, you can see down here, it's in the shade, I don't know if you can see it. I've got pieces of wood with a metal strip on it. There's got holes in it, and what I'm going to be doing is screwing it to the transom. The reason why, last night, say if the transom's like that, for example, I'll do it on a vertical there, the transom's like that. I've fiberglassed this side last night. When it's dried, it's done this, and it's actually pulled the transom in. So I need to put the wood in. I'll show you closer. As you can see there, I've fiberglassed a batten in. This is all measured out, these pieces of wood, ready to knock in, to push the transom board to the transom skin. Then I've got all the brackets on the floor, which I've got some down here as well. Right down here, as you can see. Those will all be screwed onto the transom. You might be able to see where the light's leaking through on it. So those will all be screwed into the transom. It pulls it all nice and flat, nice and level, a bit bang on. It's literally millimetre perfect. Behind me, I'll show you in the garage. I've got the board in the garage, the transom piece, right in front of us there. And what I've done, trying to adjust this, the gravicol is in there. I've mixed up 3 kilos. The catalyst is there. I've got everything ready. Literally everything's ready to go. You have to work fast with this stuff because it goes off quick. My plan will be to pull the garage door down a bit. If you look now, keep the sun off everything. The sun is actually making it all go off a lot quicker. I've been really struggling. So my plan is mix it in the garage out of the sun and put it onto the transom piece here. I've got a trowel right here ready. And I'll be using these notches. These are 5mm notches. The recommendation with the gravicol is not to lay it up any thicker than 5mm. So I'll be using the notch trowel. Obviously when it's pressed into place, it will not be 5mm thick because it's going to spread. So the first piece of transom, I had it as thick as I could. This piece of transom doesn't need to be so thick. As you can see, I've got holes drilled in it. So this stuff can bleed through to the other side. And if it comes out the other side, I'll just flatten it out sort of thing. But this is just to help a bit more with adhesion. So that is literally it. This has all been acetoned. Everything's been cleaned. Everything is ready to go. I'm going to set the camera up to one side. I won't be talking a hell of a lot because you've got to be quick with this. If I'm not quick, it's gone. This stuff's between different prices I've seen, but roughly 50 quid a tin, and that's pretty much a whole tin in there. I do not want to waste it. I've already wasted one. I don't want to waste another one. So literally everything is ready to go. Plan will be spread it on here once it's all covered, take it out to the boat, drop it in, knock the wooden wedges in straight away as fast as I can, move to the back of the boat, G-clamps across the top of the transom, and then start putting all the screws in to pull it all back in nice and tight and dead straight, then leave it to go off. Anyway, I'll set the camera up behind me, and I'm basically going to get on with mixing this, get on with laying it on, and get it into the boat. I may do a time lapse on it, to be honest. Well, I'm hoping the time lapse showed how fast I had to move. You might be looking at this thinking it's out of shape. This transom wood is cut bigger, so I could get it down to the skin of the boat. This is probably about 1/2 inch over, and that's a little bit over. It looks a bit weird, but yeah, it is all going to be shaped and cut properly. But this stuff, I have literally just turned the time lapse off. I went in the house quick. You can see I got red blotches on me. The stuff actually went on my skin. It burns. It's horrible. But I've had to do it all a bit backwards. I did it in the garage and spread it onto the wood so it's quicker. If I would have spread this onto the boat itself, I wouldn't have done it in time. If you look, it's gone off already. That's how fast it goes off. You can see, look at that. It's like, that's not hard yet, it's just going off, but it's a flexible bonding paste. I will show you from the back quickly, but if you look, all the holes are drilled in it. You can see all the stuff has come through, which is going to basically help lock it all together a little bit. It probably doesn't need it, to be honest, but it's just a belt and braces sort of thing. Make sure it's solid. But you can see it's come out around all the sides everywhere. It's come out down the bottom. It's come out everywhere, all at the top. And that's what you want. It's splurged out everywhere. It's even come out the back of the transom. I had a few holes drilled where it had come through. I don't really want to put holes in the transom, but all of this is being fiberglassed, so I'm not worried. But I'll show you the back now. Well, I've brought you in a bit closer. I don't know if you can see. There were some screw holes which haven't been filled yet, and you can see this stuff has come straight through and out everywhere, and you can see it's gone off. Well, I'll say it's gone off. It's fully gelled. It hasn't gone off. It'll take quite a while. It does go very, very hard. I'll see if I can find a piece now. This is the actual gravicol here, and this is out of a bucket. You can see it's slightly flexible. It's hard, but it will snap. But it has got flex in it. Look. It does have a bit of flex. Obviously, when it's a lot thicker, it don't flex that easy. But you can see it just snaps. So it's structural, but it is flexible. So if the boat's moving, I don't know, 1/8 of a millimetre with the flex of the engine and the torque, it will be fine. That's what it's designed to do. This is the reason why I've done it this way. It's a lot stronger way to do it. Honestly, if I had another boat, would I use gravicol? Probably not. It is an absolute nightmare to work with. You've got to move quick as anything. But yeah. Once it's all dried, I'll pull these brackets off, which you can see. All this has done is pulled the wood into the skin of the transom, and now this is dead flat. Don't know if you'll see it on the video. Not sure how much you'll be able to see, but putting that on there is not a gap behind that spirit level there. It's the same on all of it. I checked everywhere. Last night when I fiberglassed that inside bit, it's dried and it's pulled the transom in. I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I was pretty shocked. But even over here, if you look, hopefully you can see it on the camera from that angle, but there's no gaps there. It's absolutely dead flat, the way you need it. So yeah, I'll back you out a bit. So as you can see there's a few brackets on that side, one across the middle. Didn't need the one in the middle, but I put it there just in case. I have put a few screws in around the top and a couple in the back of the transom to pull it all together, but yeah, it's absolutely rock solid. Well, this is the next day from bonding this in. As you can see, I've cut the top off because it was probably about this tall on the 18mm. That's been cut off, all the screws are out, all the clamps are out, and it's solid. There is another 18mm piece going in. Just going to show you quickly. Got a bit of prep to do, and then yeah, get back on fiberglass in this and bonding in the next 18. But I'm going to move the camera around to the side just so you can have a quick look at how far I've got. Well, as you can see, I've cut off a lot of the bits that splurged out. There's still a bit down here, as you can see, and here. It's gone solid now, you can't break that off. But what I want to do, sand all of this, sand around all the edges just to get it ready for the next piece. What I'll be doing then, there's a slight little gap around the bottom everywhere. So I'm going to mix up some fiberglass strands in fiberglass resin, and I'm going to fill all of this bottom out. I was going to use the Gravicol. Problem I've got is I'm ain't going to have enough to do the actual job if I keep dipping into it. So I'm just going to use the chop strand fibres. It's a little bag that big with fibres in, and just mix it with resin, thicken it up, yeah, and get it in all around the bottom, around the edge to get this all dead flat. Then I'm fiberglassing over this with 2 lots of cross strand matting or chop strand matting. This will be covered completely all over. So I'll be going over this first with resin, let the resin soak into the wood, then fiberglass it and fiberglass it. Once it's gone off and you can touch it and it feels like touch dry, I'll be bonding in the next piece of the 18mm. Once that's done, I'll be fiberglassing the back of that. I don't know how many layers yet. I made it 3 or 4, but that will be tabbed in up to there, up to there, up to there. I'll be tabbing it in. Once that's done, I'll be fiberglassing all the floor of the boat. Obviously that's not all today. Today I'm hoping I can get this finished. I'm going to try. We have got rain coming at some point. It's a bit cloudy, feels cooler, so I'm going to get cracked on with it. Get this sorted now, there's some sanding, bit of prepping, rough this up a bit. It'll be fine anyway, but there's bits of splinters of wood, bits of filler coming out from the other side and that, so yeah, more prep work. Give the top a quick sand just to get it a bit tidier and get rid of that like sharp edge there. It's meant to be rounded, and that's it, we'll get on. But yes, as you can see, it's rock solid. It's not moving. That would probably take the engine now, to be honest. In the centre it's 40mm. On the sides, well, about down here, it's a lot less because this is thicker along the top and in the centre. But let's crack on anyway. Well, as you can see there on the really short time lapse, I've just gone over and knocked off all the high spots on the filler around all the edges and on top of the board. So what I'm going to do now is go over it all and sand it. Something you haven't seen in the videos as of yet is the new compressor I brought to do the actual boat work. I went out and brought air sanders. These absolutely rip through it. I wish I had these when I first started. If you're doing a boat rebuild and mass it on a big scale like this, a full restoration, I'd advise you get a compressor. You have to get a pretty decent compressor to run these type of tools. They use a lot of air. I may do a video in the near future for it, I'm not sure. It took me a long time to find out what compressor to buy. But as you'll see in a moment, I'll get the compressor fired up. I'll let you have a quick look at it when I'm firing it up. I'll get suited up and then I'm going to start sanding everywhere. What I don't want is high lumps along here, which is going to interfere with the next piece going in. So yeah, it's just literally prep the whole area. There's a big lump here as well, so I need to sand all this off, and there's some got down here. So basically, yeah, I'm going to get suited up now and get ready to do it. Fire the compressor first, let it start building air. I'll spin the camera around, get the compressor going, and then I'll get my dust suit on, get my mask on, and crack on with this. Not sure how good the light is, I don't know how much you can see. It's a 200 litre compressor, it's got a petrol engine running it. The engine on this is a 14 horsepower. The displacement, or I don't know what you'd call it, with the tank, it'll do 800 litres a minute on demand. So basically while you're using a sander, using an air dusting tool, it will deliver 800 litres a minute. That's a hell of a lot. If I remember rightly, it'll pump out 24 CFM constantly. So in theory it should run 2 air sanders. Not that it needs to, because I'm doing most of the work on my own. It'll run a spray gun, no problem. It'll run everything. Just a quick run through. I don't know how well you can see it. This is a water separator and regulator. I've got it piped around up to the front, where I've got another regulator and another water separator. Then the yellow arrows comes out that side and out to the boat. I've got it mounted in a trailer. It's bolted in, as you can see. The reason why I can take this up to the boat in the shed when the boat's in the shed. So it's a mobile compressor. It's flipping heavy, 150 kilos. So A lot of people are not going to be able to buy something like this to do a boat. Technically, I shouldn't have. It's eaten into the budget massively. It was not cheap. Well, it was 1,500 quid. I don't mind saying how much it was. So there's 1,500 quid of the boat fund gone on this, but it's going to make the job a lot faster. Anyway, I'm going to get it fired up now, let it build some air while I get dressed up, basically, and we'll crack on with it. There is a little vent underneath, which every night you need to drain it. Otherwise it'll build up water in the tank and eventually it will rot out. As soon as this fires up, you're not going to be able to hear me or hear anything. It's quite loud, but it's a key start. You've got wires here to put a battery on it, which I haven't. I'm just pull starting it. So I'll give it half choke because it's not freezing cold. Hopefully that'll be enough. The key's on, pull it and it will go. And that's the reason it's in the garage, so I can shut the door and try and annoy the neighbours a little bit less. Today now, I'm going to get this suit on. I did buy these suits recently. They're not great, but they are better than nothing. So I'm going to get this suit on, get my mask, and then crack on with sanding. I'll probably time-lapse it. I don't want to do loads of time-lapse video on sanding because nobody wants to see it. It is part of the restoration though, I suppose, so we'll go over it quickly now. I'll do it on time-lapse, try and skip it through the video quicker, just so you can see the steps that's involved that I'm doing. Yes, this transom could be done in one day. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to do all the prep work in between. It's because I'm letting it dry out, so I need to give it a good key and get it prepared for the next layer. If you did it all in one go, you wouldn't have to. So that's it. I'm gonna have to move the microphone now. So I'm gonna put you back over there on time lapse. This compressor's building up air now and we'll crack on. I've got the microphone here. As you can see, it makes pretty light work of it. That is now ready to have everything done to it. I've gone over the top quickly. The top is nice and smooth now, look. There is a few little dips, a little like small cavities. I'm not worried about them. Once I've got the next piece in, this whole top layer is going to be absolutely drenched in resin. It's going to be absolutely drenched. It's going to be absolutely soaked in resin. So there's a little tiny little bits, but yeah, I'm going to go over it all with resin, really let it soak into this edge as much as it physically can, and then it'll all be sanded. This needs to be dropped a couple of millimeters, not much, just to get it bang on with the cavitation plate on the engine. So I'm not worried about it at the moment, but yeah, it's looking really nice, and you can see all the layers. There's 3 layers of matting, the 9mm ply, then you've got 2 clear lots of matting, then 3 lots of matting again, then the 18mm ply, then it'll be the same with this one. So anyway, I'm going to go around these edges now, fill it all out with little fibres and resin. It's easier to work with in the gravicol and cheaper. So yeah, I'm going to fill around the edges. Once that's done, fiberglass this twice. Once it's pretty much gone off, get ready to bond in the next piece of 18mm ply. So yeah, let's get on with it.